Luminosity get themselves off to a hot start here at the beginning of our second day of the DreamHack Open Atlanta by taking control of Dust 2, and now they get ready to jump onto Overpass. Their opponents, Envy, well, unfortunately falter in their opening map, and now we're up against the wall facing elimination if they are not able to bounce back here on Overpass and win the second map to try and come back on the third. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Joining me here, of course, is Risk, and we're going to be jumping into that map in just a few moments. How do you make of Overpass now, seeing the first map played out?
I think it's going to be very hard, because if you play a team that's really strategical and heavy on analysis and how you play Overpass, both T and CT side, and you come in as an opponent who are not really that focused, and we did see like small glimpse of strategical like good pieces from Envy, but like for the 90% of Dust 2 we didn't see much from them. So now they're going into Overpass, which in my mind is an even harder map to like approach if you only have like a couple of set defaults, and that's kind of it. If Luminosity has anything out of the ordinary to bring to the table, I think this is going to be a straight 2-0. Unless someone from Envy, let's say a JDM, maybe on an aggressive AWP on the CT side, can kind of change the pace. Like, it has to be some kind of like extraordinary performance from one of the star players of Envy, unless it's not just going to be like a 2-0.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how that plays out. From the individual perspective, at least for me, it definitely seems like Luminosity get the edge so far in this matchup, and that was, for a lot of our analysts, I think the key factor in determining who was going to be the winner of this matchup, which individual roster would show up a little bit more so. In the last map, we saw players like Nekiz in the early portions of the first half have some incredible plays themselves. He pulls off a 1v4 on the pistol to start them off well. They're granted they lose the second round, but it's a good gesture. You see players like Henny having really consistent performances on the AWP once they're able to stabilize their economy and get to that point. Meanwhile, on the other side of the coin for Envy, we're really not seeing that. Unfortunately, we didn't really see JDM have too fantastic of a time. He was there for a few rounds, so I'll definitely give him that. He definitely wasn't completely absent, but it was nowhere near the impact Henny was having on the other side of the coin. And then besides that, some players like Nifty, who were used to being that star power and that clutch power in a lot of factors, we didn't really see that show up as often as we did yesterday either. So there's just a lot of things missing from Envy right now that need to show up in the second map if they have a chance. Exactly,
and the reason why we're like saying that if you're just coming into CS and you're probably thinking, oh, why are they like harping so much on about like Nifty and JDM, is because the level that we're used to seeing from these two guys is such a high level, and we know they can bring that to the table. We just haven't seen it yet. They're nowhere near their like top peak individually, and that's what they need to bring right now, because the team strategical depth is nowhere near where it should be right now for Envy. So we need the individual players to step up to the plate and deliver an A+ performance. We have not seen that yet from them.
And they can do it, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Polio specifically, one of the younger players, I know for a fact he can go crazy on land if he's put in the right circumstances. We haven't really seen it yet, and unfortunately we haven't really seen it in a while from him, so I'm starting to get a little bit nervous about that. Well, let's see, though, as we are going live now in the second map, and of course, being on Overpass for that affair, it's going to increase the difficulty of this quite a bit, but Envy's going to play close to the chest on the pistol. They move in, end up in a 2-for-2 trade, now 3-for-2 in LG's favor, even now to 3-for-3. Henny goes for one more. It's a 2v1 at the end of the day, though, and Envy will win it, taking control of the pistol, and a 1-0 lead at that to start off the map.
And to be honest, like, the idea behind this pistol is really nice from Envy. I like it. So what you have is you have LG on the T side. What do you expect? A quick push, maybe some utility to kind of block off and then just rush straight in. What is the perfect answer for that? Just bring out your own aggressive setup. Bring out your own aggression towards short. Take control of that part of the map and meet them on in a straight duel and say, okay, we're not afraid of you. You're not going to be able to control the pace of the game like you did in the last map. And that's the kind of small adjustment that has to be made between these two maps. And we see it in the pistol now. What we need to see from Envy going forward is they need to string rounds together. And the best place to start it is right now, because this is one of the more easier ones they're going to get throughout this best of 3 series. Almost a straight eco, could go up 2-0. If they get that buy in the third round, then we see an Envy who can finally string rounds together, which is something that we have not seen so far in this series.
Not really a whole lot of aggressive control coming out from Envy in the early round, probably because of the fact they're going up the anti-eco currently. We should look to see a little bit more pressure down towards the bathrooms once they get into the later rounds here, and Luminosity start to play a little bit slower themselves. But for now, Luminosity takes some solid short control. They're not really going to use it, though. They're just going to go down the steps pretty quickly and try to take this over towards water and then get themselves into the B site from there, more than likely, especially with the bomb now rotating back through their spawn and over in a position by Monster to execute into the site. At the moment, Envy only have 2 players on the B site to defend against that, so there's a chance they get overwhelmed. But you'll probably see a third rotate down pretty much immediately now that there's been some players spotted down here, and especially once any utility that Luminosity has is used to get into the site.
There's going to be a B explosion at some specific timing. Yell trying to make some noise on the opposite bomb side, trying to sell the fact that they're rotating up through underground, but it's not going to happen. Poyo Radiant waiting with the MP9. This is going to be a bloodbath.
There is actually no utilize at all in this round, so they run right in and successfully get that first kill, causing Nifty to back up as well. Still trying to stay around as he knows he's going to leave Drone out to dry if he backs up too much. Very good. Stays in the site well enough to play together. He's got another teammate up on top and Heaven to play off of here now too. Lucas will be able to steal one kill away from the pit, but goes crashing into the water to end the round as we do see Envy closing out still.
But still, that was like 2 frags. That's fine for a full eco. So, and they're actually kind of close to getting the bomb down as well. Not too bad, not too shabby for Luminosity, but Envy, they get the final control after the initial kind of miss spray from the MP9 down towards Monster. The rest of the team makes up for it. Nice from our spray control. 2-0. Here comes the buy though. We have another creep coming into play from Yell. And this is a very important round. You also see that Envy, like they respect the chance, or just not the chance because everyone knows it's coming, the buy that's coming in this round. Everyone's upgrading. You don't see any more MP9s or UMPs on board anymore. It's straight for Masses and Enforce. They know what's coming their way. They have utility to counter whatever Luminosity is going to throw at them. And this is where we need to see Envy step up and just take control.
I was talking about this back in the last round there too, and we immediately see it. Envy now pushing out a lot more aggressively to hold their ground, and early on in the round they know Luminosity has their full investment and are not going to want to throw it away, so they themselves will play a lot slower here, and because of that Envy's able to move in, take aggressive bathrooms control, and even short to a certain degree as well here. Nifty's still going to be playing in the connector, but the first fight actually leaves Henny, of all people, very, very low early on here as he drops 80 of his HP, and JDM, the one who did that damage, I do believe, backs up Nifty. He's able to move in, but he's not going to be able to get away. Missed the second player by Monster. It quickly gets traded by Yell on the side tunnel.
And now the rotation is coming in. They shot one player towards short. Yes, he was aggressive, but that's still one more player off the B bomb side. At max, they're going to be 2 with the rotation, and that's exactly what they're going to meet. The question is, will Envy rotate another one in towards this B side? Or will they stay committed towards A? If Yell gets an entry now, they're going to swarm inside and take it.
Steel's just going to start slowly creeping up as he loses the charge here. A spot, but it takes a couple of shots and acts as an early warning system for Toyo as he actually trades back the kills in even numbers. Now it's going to be Nekaz moving in, trying to hold off the quick rotate from inside of the connector here, and so far he's done that job. The problem is he needs to win this fight too, as they've got it in an even 2v2. Cutler moves in for the trade, however, and now he's got a 1v1 fight versus Nekaz at a very low 22 HP, but it won't matter. Nekaz shuts them down with an instant headshot, and it is going to be LG that take their opening gun round.
And that's the power of the AK-47. Straight to the face of Cutler. I know Cutler kind of felt like he had that situation on control. He probably also got the communication that, okay, he's low, he's probably below 50 HP. And Nekaz is still able to get away with it. Perfect crosshair placement, almost a pre-fire, completely ready for it. And Luminosity answers straight back. And this is the money right now. Envy, they forced up into that round just before because they respect the buy that was coming out for Luminosity. That was the right choice, but now they're on just pistols.
This might have himself a good chance to get a multi-frag here too if Envy decides to push the angle. It's not looking like it. Right now just holding position to try to surprise anyone who might lurk into this position, and that might very well be Nekaz, so we're going to have to be very careful about this. Volley goes in and forces at least one of them out. The volley's also going to burn a few players out. Nekaz goes 3 for 1, so I'm pretty sure he's going to be happy with that. That does put an AK to the hands of Cutler to use later on in the round. But later on is going to be very soon, unfortunately, for Cutlers. He's now the last man standing. All eyes from Luminosity will turn to him. They're looking to close this out, and the A clutch will certainly help with that, as Luminosity do get their second round, and the tying one at that. One more, and they will take the lead.
The question is now, what's the plan of attack? Yes, on the CT side, our good friends from Envy, but how are they going to approach this? It's going to be another pistol setup, low investment round, so they can potentially get an AWP into play on JDM. They have the opportunity of going for a second one if they want to go for a glass cannon setup, which I wouldn't really advise for. Let's just wait and see how they're going to roll it. Luminosity just go no respect, taking short control. Going to take the duels down towards Monster as well, but loses it out to Poyo and his T-set.
So for now, Monster's going to be held by Envy. Luminosity is not to further challenge anything over by water either. They're even going to try to question that Envy, as they were hoping that someone might have stuck around on the other side of the sandbags. Not the case. They're going to get a little bit more aggressive than that if they want to have any chance of hunting down kills. Nekaz again be at the mercy of the aggression from Envy here, but he gets some good damage off on a Nifty and finishes him off with a nice nade chuck over the fence. Little bye-bye present for him there. Send things down into a 4v4.
That was the underhand throw as well. Full on. Perfect. And JDM in the perfect position. 1 for 1 with the pistol is definitely all that he could hope for, but Nekaz is still on fire. Second frag coming in. Nade, and now the rifle yell with a quick scope on the creek. Pollo last man standing now.
Pollo unfortunately locked in that 1v3, still fulfilling his duty to defend the monster, as it would appear. They seem to have a good locket. That's that might be the position he's playing from, as he holds directly on top of it. But in the meanwhile, Luminosity wrapped around. They've got their A site control. Henny will be a little strapped for time, but I think he'll get there, assuming he goes to A with about 10 seconds left, so should be able to just barely make it there. A bit worried when he stopped for the door, but he'll make it indeed. And with that plant going down into A, any chance for Pollo to clutch this out will have decreased tremendously, especially with the amount of time it's going to take him to fully rotate if he even attempts it at this point.
See how he's going to play this out. There's no real reason of going straight into your death and just giving money away to the opposition. He does have that armor, he can bring it to the next round and then upgrade, but yeah, it's such a weird one because you want to do economical damage if you can, but you're so far away from the opposition that there's no real chance of you just finding a 50-50 duel.
Yeah, there's more of a chance you're going to accidentally run into someone
Exactly.
and get instantly headshot than you actually finding any impact, so it's better to just sit back and, honestly, with the buy he has, just not give your opponents the money.
And also he has a nice drawdown for the next buy.
Yeah.
Always nice to have.
A little bit of armor, depending. He's got 100 armor, so he can have a cheap upgrade to a head armor there as well. Since he was able to avoid combat for the most part, got the quick pick over towards Monster, and besides that, just kind of avoided a fight for the rest of the round.
And also in general, like matched up against AKs, that's a nice one from Yellow. You're not really going to need that much head armor, so just staying on it is fine. The buy is going to come in. They're actually going to go for the double op setup. And it's not going to be the glass cannon. They had just enough money to get an armor onto Nifty, but it's going to be no utility on Nifty. Only the one kill on Pollo. So utility-wise, not the best of buys, but they do have the double op setup. And Nifty's out just searching for kills.
A bit of a dangerous spot here too, but thankfully for him, Luminosity decided to take the upper path, working their way into short once again towards A site. JDM will see the cross over towards the bathrooms, and because of that, knows his position is no longer safe. Will back away, mollies it off just to be sure. But he's going to re-aggress just a tad in a moment here. Recheck, see if maybe he can get away with anything. It's getting dangerous though with the short push there.
Very dangerous. The second that he hears the smoke being thrown, he has to rotate back.
He doesn't have great trade support either. The closest thing he has is Cutler, but yeah, you can see it right here. He's way back on the flower beds, just leading up to the site. So very low chance that kill gets immediately traded.
There we go. He has to rotate back now, and he will
start backing up. Still will be ready to take a fight if someone moves to the inside. Had an angle for a moment there too, because relying on pretty bigly on Cutler to get this done. Thankfully, he does the job quite well. A 2-for-1 trade. JDM's going to be thrown off, though, by a sudden push from the inside of the bathrooms. And with that, Lucas will take him down. It's Drone on the site now trying to outlast, but Molly will send him into the open. He's caught out as well. And he gets a clean kill on him. Lucas finds another one to follow that up. And it's all down to Nifty once again in a 1v3.
Nifty with the AWP. Bomb just being tapped just for a second. To find 3 individual duels. No kit. There was one bot, but no idea where it is. It's actually just in front of it. We'll find the first one and the kit, so this is on now. Taps it just to force out a player. See if you can isolate them and get 2 individual 1v1s. But it's not going to be the case. They're going to peek together. One was ready to fly on the right side of those boxes, and perfectly done. One thing I have to mention as well, very unfortunate for JDM in that scenario that he scopes out to rotate back. If he kept that scope in, because the reason why everyone just instantly checked his corner was that they heard him scope in. Cutler gets those 2 frags on short and then dies off. If you scoped in and take another one and then take maybe a no-scope duel, you can shut the entire push down. But his scope in is hurt, and then he's just immediately taken out because both terrorists know his position. So unfortunate, it's such a small thing. I really like the initial setup, actually, especially with Cutler getting the first 2. There's real potential, but it fell to the wayside.
JDM, unfortunately, they're in a good position to find impact in that defensive setup that they had going there. A little bit unlucky for him, but a great transfer from Neckes to get a quick second kill. Granted, anti-ecos, and manages to put a 3rd onto the board before finally getting traded, but speaking of trades, we're seeing quite a few of them here. Nifty finding the most recent one. The nade from Henny is finally going to be able to take down one of the last 2 players from Envy, leaving just Nifty alone, who nearly gets another kill there against Henny on the CZ. But Henny outlasts and closes out for a 5th round, going by the way of LG now.
smooth sailing these last couple of rounds for LG. Apart from the good start from Envy, we haven't seen anything from them. This is what we were talking about on the first map and the point that I brought up as well. Apart from the comeback rounds 5 in a row, we haven't really seen Envy string 2-3 rounds together on a consistent basis with bye rounds in this game. And we yet to see that also on map 2. We've only seen it in those 5 comeback rounds where Luminosity probably was playing maybe 10-20% below their average throughout that game. And it just seems so hard, but this is what they need. This is one of the things they need. Individual players to just step up and deliver a good performance. JDM gets a boost and he lands a shot.
So good starts once again from Envy. Maybe they need to get them back in and keep this match a little bit closer and more competitive, but have seen Envy read into some of the pressure at long, and it's going to be JDM with a quick pick and a follow-up to take down Steel, who in the process managed to take out Cutler, which for the time being has left JDM alone in this site. He's got immediate support coming back in from Nifty. Might not even need it though, as he's taking these guys out one by one. Finds another kill on Nekkes, and it leaves just Henny alone now, 1v4 for what should be a pretty straightforward Envy closeout at this point.
Actually a chance for JDM to get the ace here against the full buy. Would be very nice for his confidence. Let's see if he can land the final one. Or if it's going to be the double, the collateral from Henny. Oh, that's Nifty gone. Missed shot from JDM. On the hunt for the ace. Jiggling back and forth, Henny or JDM. Who will it be to close out this duel?
And he knows he's got more presence nearby as well, so he is being careful of a potential push from something like Bank. But Henny finds the next kill, has the AK leaning up against the dice box, so we'll be able to take that too. Another op leaning against Semi if he wants to trade back. He's got a lot of weapon options, that's for sure. But Henny will push back up. It's the green dumpster steps, trying to make a play here. Less than 10 seconds, but he's going to make a mad dash, it seems, around over towards Heaven. Finds the kill. Kenny now gets to the B site in time. He's going to run down, should have just enough time to get onto the site. Oh, let's see.
Has the smoke as well.
What a smart play from Henny so far. Drone's going to try to pick his rotate path. It was looking like he might go down through connector for a second, but instead decides to take the A site.
Henny's about to clutch this 1v4.
And Drone is still cautious of Henny as he moves on to the A side, thinking that he might have gotten aggressive once again. Henny has so much lead-in time to this. Looks away at the wrong moment, it doesn't matter. No, the spray is not where it needs to be. Drone takes him out, and it's going to be Envy that win this round instead.
Henny in that situation deciding to go for the off angle instead of the smoke position and playing close to the smoke. And you can kind of like see it on him. Like, it's a gamble situation he takes there. If it works, he looks like a genius. If it doesn't, it kind of looks a little bit meh because you kind of feel like he could have done more with the smoke he had and the time he had to position himself. But it's a risk that he takes. JDM with a great round and is not let down by his teammate in the end, able to clutch it. And Team Envy will get round number 3 on the board.
It's a crazy round at that, the way things ended up going. A near ace that we saw from JDM, and then the near turnaround of that ace from Henny. Unfortunately faltering right at the end. Just doing a bad position with a spray. Well, getaway there from Drone to be able to allow Envy to steal that one right out of LG's hands. It's an important one at that too, as Luminosity's money was growing to a pretty dangerous point, and the win there has brought it a lot more under control. Nice initial spam from Drone, nearly takes out Yell in the process. The nades are going to try to do the job, but they'll be off the mark, so no kills yet. Push is going to be coming in towards the B-bomb site here too. 2 fast kills to start it off, now 3, as all members of Envy on the site fall relatively quickly. Poyo, Drone, Nifty, all out of the fight. And it's down to just Cutler and JDM now, but they don't really stand much of a chance. They're all back on the other side of the map and really looking like they're already in positions to save, as this should be easy at this point for Luminosity to go 6-3.
Yeah, really nice execute there from Luminosity as well. Even though they're spotted out, what they do is basically, okay, we're spotted out on short. They're throwing in a lot of like smokes and nades to keep us off. We're just going to wait for the next 20 seconds. When the smoke dissipates, then we know you have at max 1 smoke left on the bomb side and maybe a Molotov if you have a lot of money. Probably gambling on you not having a lot of money in that sense. Just set up the execute, just go in. And even though they had Yell on 14 HP, everyone else just goes into the side and wins their duels on the back. That they have Molotovs in all the right positions. They have flash timings going in. Just a very solid execute in general for Luminosity this round. And what we expect to see from them, they have these kind of like small set plays that they can throw into the mix, and just with a little bit of mid-round calling on the timing, it just works out perfectly.
And once again, unfortunately for Envy, just that mean issue of not being able to chain rounds together surfaces itself once again as they are reset with only one round going into their favor, which means losing bonus reset. And you can already see the immediate effects of that. Anyone who didn't save a gun for the last round is ecoing this time with at most a P250 or a Deagle coming into their buy. Yell's going to be surprised though with a fountain push, but still manages to at least trade out one of the kills as Henny picks up the second and restores the advantage for LG with anti-eco. Poyu going to try to cause some trouble. Misses the node on that by a few seconds and unfortunately walks into the crosshair of another opponent right afterwards, leading us to Henny, who picks up the last kill quickly against Nifty to pick up a 7th round for LG.
And one thing we have to note as well, like these are going to be 2 low investment rounds in a row. Yes, the 2 saved weapon is in this one, and then in this upcoming round here, we're going to maybe see CZ-75s and Desert Eagles because there's not a lot of money. There's definitely not enough money to get a buy going if they want a double op setup. Nowhere near that, so it's going to be pistols this time around. Possibility of getting an op onto JDM in the next buy round, but for now, this is going to allow Luminosity with a rather easy chance of getting on 8-3 already, being able to say, okay, yes, we grabbed the first half at least we win it. Now we can add on and maybe get 10, 11 rounds on T side, which is not unheard of, but in this situation, a very, very good look for Luminosity.
The impressive thing about this is from the perspective of T side. This was CT side, this would be more part of the course at this point, but the fact that they're leading this far ahead and in quite a few rounds this dominantly on T side is certainly a sign to worry for Envy. They really need to pick up the pace, and they need to do it soon.
A lot of worrying signs, to be honest, not just in the rounds. Cutler trying to find something with the Desert Eagle, but if I know the T player's right, I'm not going to allow him. But as I say that, of course, he finds the double. That's how it is. Henny locking down the rest with the P250. No worries from him as he cleans it up. 4K for him.
Holding his ground quite nicely there. The 2 opening op shots and then knows the pressure's a bit too close to be comfy with that op, so the quick switch over to the P250 to finish off the rest of the business in a more even turf fight. It's still a solid 4K from him indeed, and it's another round on the board for Luminosity.
And then also something you can kind of read in the faces of all these 10 players and the coaches behind them. Like, smiles all around from Luminosity. They feel like they have control over the game. A pause is being taken. That was something that I was kind of wondering about in that first map, like why the coach of Envy didn't take more, because he's definitely writing stuff down. I see him with that notepad, like writing small tweaks down, but only saw him talking kind of like the freeze time. I think from what I've talked to Bach as well backstage, and he's telling me a lot about this guy, like actually a really, really nice coach, has played at a decent level, knows his way around Counter-Strike. It's not like for him to take more timeouts and just like implement these small tweaks.
It's Ely, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a very familiar name for me, coming from EU, of course.
Yeah, no.
Sorry about that.
He played at a high level for a little bit. Fortunately, never really found much success in that. I think due to a personal choice, he ended up switching to a coach with like about a year or two. It's been pretty prominent since then in the NA scene. We've seen Nifty find the opening pick for Envy once again. Here, Nifty finding that impact. A few more trades going to be picked up, but still an advantage for Envy. And more importantly, the bomb goes down on the B site, meaning they have no choice but to commit to this now. They need to at least recover it. But with a man down already, this is going to be a tough ask for Luminosity to get back into this due to that bomb going down.
Nifty on the hunt for more. Got the initial opening, and Cutler now also rotating in with the op. They actually have 3 ops on deck right now on this CT side. Very unusual. And in 3v4, if Luminosity just decides to go like either way, they're going to face up against, if they're lucky, 2 ops in the same site. Because they're playing 2-2 right now, the CTs. If they go towards A, and they get the first opening, the other op is not going to have anything to do. So JDM has to search for these aggressive angles. He's the one on the side right now. The secondary player is holding a bit back.
Meanwhile, the Luminosity need to make a play sometime soon here. Time is getting incredibly low. They don't have any initiation really on either A or B at this point. Yell's going to be walking up from long. He's got JDM moving, but JDM, the timing works out very well for him. Ends up walking right into Yell as he pushes out from long. Takes him down just as quick, too. So these last 2, really no choice. The Shadow's going to act as plenty of warning for Nifty there to pick up the kill on Nekaz. And they already know that Henny moved out. They're just having trouble figuring out his exact position, but it's going to be Nifty again that dominates it. A solid 3K from him. The sole defender of Monster, it would seem, and also stops any trace of their opponents getting anything done on that B site for that round.
All right, all they needed was 3 ops, Blue. Just
yeah, just that, yeah.
It's so strange sometimes.
It's real attainable when your economy's getting reset after literally every round you won, except for like 2 or 3 of them.
But I think even though that it's kind of silly that they're winning rounds with 3 ops, I think what it represents is that it's a change in the way that they play CT. They're not forced to do something that's out of the ordinary. They have to go for some more opening duels. They have to play more aggressively. And I think that is the way to handle this Luminosity team when you're playing against them on that T side. And hopefully they can kind of like understand that, and when the match progresses, especially the rest of this half progresses in the last couple of rounds, just make sure that they can at least get 7 rounds with them going over to that second half. Just employ more of these aggressive like peaks, get into the face of the opposition, because if you just allow Luminosity to control the pace of a game, they're just going to run away with it like 9 out of 10 times.
It's been a rocky start for Envy once again, sadly, as Cutler falls early on. Some damage done to the player that takes him out, but not a significant enough amount to bring him out of the fight, really. 20 HP, he's still going to be able to play a little bit more aggressively. Luminosity, in the meanwhile, taking full control of Long. Still hold a bit of pressure towards Party, too, where JDM might find some contest in a second here, actually. No, misses it. Lucas gets away for free, taking out JDM in the process. Will be good in a second here to regroup with the rest of his team, or honestly, at this point, just pushing from short. We've only got 1 more player on the A site to deal with. The second's going to be arriving in a moment on Rotate as Nifty works his way to the top. They need some op presence here, of course. But Drone is the only other player alive to try and stop the push. He'll be blinded out. He'll commit himself to wall. Process up against the wall. We'll only be able to find 1 from that position. It's going to have to be Nifty. And Polio now having rotated up, but even Polio falls quickly enough here. So it's down to Nifty once again. Interrupts the plant. Less than 10 seconds to make up for it now, too. Luminosity need to move in right now and force them out. It's going to be Henny that gets the job done with just 6 seconds on the clock.
And once again, it seems like Envy find a way to get in and get around, break the momentum, and then straight after that, they get smacked down in the ground by Luminosity. It's such a heartbreaking like way that this match is progressing. Every single time you think Envy, okay, they found the recipe, now they can go in, they can get some rounds in a row, and they can take control of this first half and at least salvage some kind of result. Luminosity just comes in with the perfect counter, smacks him down, and say, okay, yeah, we still got this match on the lock.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the pistol's the only reason Envy's really even still a contender at this point. If this ends up going, especially if this ends up going 11-4, of course. Simply because of the fact that without that pistol, we would be looking at 11-4 currently. Luminosity having everything go into their favor. Envy would have already been out of the game in my eyes if we were sitting at that scoreline. So at least with the pistol, Envy still has a fighting chance here. But the odds are not good for them now.
Tough times in the Envy camp. Economical situation also not the best. Just a couple of P250s and a Desert Eagle on Nifty. Lucas with the short smoke. Kind of missed the spot.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's that supposed to block? that's the solid snake smoke. That's someone.
I think you can throw 2 different smokes from that position, and the one that he threw was the magical 3rd one that no one ever throws.
Gotcha. Well, we've got Luminosity working their way into the site, which is the trap. That's what Envy won. That's a dirty shot as well from Nifty once again, showing us what he's got. At least Nifty's showing up here on this map, which is good to see.
That's like a pixel angle right there. He can probably see 1 or 2 pixels of the opponent's head and still answers straight clean headshot. Nice utility usage here to block off the site, forcing the CTs to move in through the smoke or the Molotov or the flashbang. Like all of a sudden, or just in general, just making sure that every single time you take a duel, you're going to do it on like your territory, your turf, your advantage. Like running through a smoke with a pistol, there's just going to be no way that JDM can win that. And still, it's just making sure that he has a 100% chance of just winning every single duel he goes into. There's no reason to make this like harder than it is. Like it's a relatively easy round for Luminosity to win. Just throw that extra utility in there so you're like 90, 95, 97% sure that you're going to win every duel and not drop like a single weapon.
And so Cutler sits as the last man standing here. An AK in his hand, so we'll probably be trying to save that. Even though we are about to head on to the final round here in a second. But even so, I think saving this might be a little bit too much of a task. He's going to get pushed on by Steel from short. On the B side, that is, and that is going to secure the 10th round once again for Luminosity as we enter the final round of the half.
Good control so far for the Brazilians. Impressed with Yell and Nekis in general. Yell as the new in-game leader, Nekis also in general throughout this match. 17-8. Very nicely done by him, because the 3 other players are the 3 bigger names on this team. So it's always nice to highlight when the lower tier names really bring something extraordinary to the table. And ensures a win here. JDM now has to do the exact same thing, but whiffs on the first one. That's a very hard shot to take as well. Still goes for it because he's the ADM. He has so much confidence, but at this point, not working out for him.
Has brought Luminosity to a screeching halt of water for right now, but as they do look to run down the timer a little bit more. Nifty, though, walking right up. He's able to find a free pick against Yell. Is going to contend against the bomb carrier in a second here, too, and can drop that onto the ground. Henny even taking the duel, trying to wrap around into a corner now to extend this, and he gets his revenge. Quickly knocks out Nifty and prevents him from doing any further damage here. The team is going to actually quickly follow this up with a push into the B site, too, but that's ill-advised. Only Nekiz and Lucas to work together on that. Nekiz immediately going down, and Lucas checks out very quickly from that push, going back inside of water instead.
Steel now, hoping to find an opening here. Checks toilet, but Cutler so all these footsteps, but somehow, some way, even though he has all the information from the noise, still loses the duel and steals AK-47 straight to the face. And we all know the difference between an M4 and an AK. That one bullet headshot. That's always unfortunate for the other CT.
Steel is doing so much work right now, even though he's only picked up really one kill long and just fired some shots from short. You can see the rotate that it drew. Envy are unsure about where exactly this take is going, and there's good reason to, because this is a very odd way that Luminosity are playing out this round right now, but it's certainly going to play into their favor if they can get into this site. That is the true issue, though. There's still presence at Heaven. They didn't rotate all the way up, and those players that were sitting up top are going to be able to hold off the site, along with the one player still on the inside. So once again, we go 5-10 at half, with Envy lagging behind here on the last round win.
Nice choice by JDM, though, to not completely go for that like fake that Steel was throwing on the opposite side. He's just up there to check it. Okay, there's no push. Then he rotates back onto Heaven and just holds that position with the AWP where he can have the most impact. Correct choice by him. Very nicely played, and will ensure a 5th round for Envy in a first half where they didn't look very good. So getting 5 on the table is actually quite nice if you look at, in general, how they played this first half. If they can get the pistol now, there's definitely still hope. But Luminosity, without a doubt, looked like the stronger team so far.
We'll just have to kind of sit back and wait and see if Envy's going to be able to pull it off. 2 of these players come from a roster, if you really kind of hark back to the CLG days, that were pretty good as a team together on upsetting a lot of like European teams on this map. So there is that chance they might bring some kind of spark to the table in this second half, but as you were mentioning, it really kind of has to start out with a pistol. If we look at a clean 2-3-0 start from Luminosity here at 13-5 potentially, then the bells are, for me at least, going to start tolling for Envy relatively soon, as it's not going to leave them, in my eyes anyway, enough room to get back into this match. But let's see, as it, of course, we'll all start with the pistol.
Let's see what the buy is for now for Envy. 3 flashbangs, a Molotov, and a smoke. Pretty much the same setup as we saw from the T side of Luminosity. In that first round, take control over short, use the smoke and the flashes to get into towards the side, but Nekiz is on fire. 3 quick headshots from him. Drone, Nifty, and Poyo all gone down, and Henny and Nekiz just locking it down, throwing away the key on that B bomb side. Complete dominance.
Those were all like 1- to 2-shot kills as well, so nothing really that Envy could do to respond to that. They really just got wrecked on the pistol there, and unfortunately, that is going to set them into a very bad situation here now if they don't immediately bring it back with either a second round force or a very good 3rd round buy, if they're able to put that together.
And you can just see the idea behind the strat that they're running with the Molotov and the smoke and the flashbangs is that you don't allow duels like that to happen. But somehow, some way, Nekiz and Henry still make it happen. Clicks away and just instant one tap. This round is also going to be pretty quick, as the both teams just meet around the fountain area for some duels.
There you go.
Yell finally getting the 4K.
Well, I need to use like a mag and a half in order to get that done, but certainly does the job. Might as well paint your opponent down a little bit there, but that sets up the 2-0 start in the half, and more importantly, the potential 13-5 scoreline, as they've now got it up to 12 for Luminosity. Just 4 more rounds away, and they've got full control of the matchup. But of course, we are going to be having the 3rd round buy come in from Envy, and it'll give them quite a bit of an arsenal to work with here.
Interesting choice that Luminosity decided to go for 2 MP9 players on full utility instead of upgrading to an M4 and having 1 smoke, 1 flashbang instead. So they're definitely going to go and bank on that more utility to take map control, to just push aggressively and find like specific situations, and they've done that so far. Henny will go down, but look at that from Nekiz, just pushing straight on through in a position where you don't expect an MP9. He has the situational advantage, and now Yell is going to be very happy about the noise that Lucas is making down here, because that has stopped Nifty completely on aggressing towards his position with the AWP. And a 4v4, A lot of map control, especially towards the B side, towards short, has been taken from the CTs. They're now rotating back, making sure that if a hit comes through Monster, they're still going to be able to deal with that. A lot of smokes remaining on the T side, though, so this is a round that could go either way.
And grouping together towards Monster here, they're going to be ready to make a push in a moment. There is a two-man stack up, which Yell, as we're going to see on the other side of the map, is going to be able to take initiative on his own to be able to knock out the one real lurker that we had from Envy there. It kills their chances of extracting from the top side, but look at this boost. It leads to the death of one of their players. Nekis does a good job of holding things together, though. The 2 kills traded out by him will keep Luminosity in a man-advantage position as Cutler now goes for the 1v2 clutch. Being aggressive about it, though, but it won't work out. Steel will shut him down, and it's now 13-5 with Envy. Kind of in half-by territory, but obviously with the scoreline where it is, they're not going to have much of a choice but to force the issue here.
You have to give it to Cutler in that scenario. Like, he's in a 1v2, he makes the only correct choice, which is to go and isolate the first player to make sure that you have a 1v1 with the bomb, and then you can plan it and kind of get that timing, get that dance going. Unfortunately for him, he just loses out in the direct duel, but he makes the right choice strategically in that clutch situation, just loses out in the duel. And sometimes it shows that in Counter-Strike you can make the right choice, but you can still lose out. That happens a lot, more than you think actually.
Still trying to delay things for as long as he can. With the smoke, that actually works out pretty flush for himself. Lucas, meanwhile, on short, working with Yell, are going to try to restrict as much pressure here. Really just trying to lock them in. And so far, they've done that job very, very well. It's down to only 2 remaining here for Envy. One is split off from this fight towards the bottom of Connector, but he's going to be joining in a moment. And he'll go down along with one of their teammate towards Party to push Luminosity again forward up to 14. They get through that anti-eco pretty easily. And since there was a full save for the most part that came in from Envy, that means all the cards are on the table for this upcoming round.
A couple of encouraging words coming in from Zach. There's no reason to take a timeout. Just get some like short words of positive reinforcement. I don't speak Portuguese, but I can't understand what he was saying. It doesn't really change that much depending on what language you speak. Just keep doing everything you're doing is working. Let's just get this W and go on further in the tournament. And sometimes that's all you need in a setup. Like, if everything's working, there's no need to tweak. There's no need to make everything better, because just continuing on the momentum that you have, even though there could be mistakes, and there definitely are small little mistakes on the Luminosity side, there's no need to address that right now from the coach, because they're just winning. Just keep that momentum going. Just make them feel invincible and let them run this through.
Just don't overthink it.
Exactly.
Basically. And we are going to see Envy playing things nice and slow at the start of the round, so Luminosity really won't be tested here. It's going to be a pretty bland start to the round for the most part, actually, because of this. No aggressive positioning at all from Luminosity. They're remaining, even on the A side of the map, which is a bit rare to see. They're remaining completely held back. They are going to start to throw a little bit of long pressure around now, but besides that, no one trying to take any risks here early on in the round from Luminosity. And that is going to let Envy slowly, but surely take control of the A side of the map.
Henny down towards Monster, dealing a bit of damage onto Poyo, but also taking a bit himself. Lucas was pushed up towards long. Once again, Cutler loses the duel to the man in the corner. It was the other way around in the first half, but this one, the tables have turned. Yell onto Nifty with the refrag. And the push is going to come towards this A side now.
It's trades, really, that are working out so well here for Luminosity. They lose one aggressive player. Yell's right there to immediately trade it back. Yeah. And we've seen similar things happen earlier on in the round there, too. Steel might be pushed, though, in a second here. He's got Yell supporting from long in the event that he gets pushed. They've got a great crossfire setup here. There's another pickup from Yell. He's going to get pushed in a moment. The trade's there from Steel. Down to only 1 player left now. It's JDM in a 1v3. Less than 10 seconds. He's even thinking about backing away. Oh! Takes Steel out of the air at minimum. Denies the knife kill, but the round is still very much Luminosity's, and that will put them all on map and series point to push them further into this event.
Luminosity with a chance to show that they're showing on day one was not the real strength of this lineup. They can come back and do it in a decided game to grab a spot in playoffs here in Atlanta. Envy on the other side of things, just like last map, have to grind all the way to OT.
And this is even more of a task.
Yeah.
They at least had a few buffer rounds to work with last half. This time it's literally 10 straight. They've got to win out this time. Not going to be looking too encouraging for them at all. But the pressure's working out, or at least it seems to be on short, until Yell puts a bit of a stop to it and evens out the numbers once again. Lucas will steal away 1 player, but overstays his welcome. Nifty trades him out a second later. Puts this into a 2 versus 2, where Envy's going to take a step back and cool things off for a second. As Polio has investigated the B site and found it quite empty. So he's more likely to call for his teammate to move in and go for a quick plant here.
And he's been calling this for the last like 20 seconds. I see nothing on B, I see nothing on B, I see nothing on B. Just come here, I'll find a good position for the post plant. And then we can make this 2v2 work. And this is exactly what he's doing. He's pushing out so aggressively. So before the rotation can actually come in and the CTs can hold the side, he's going to be there. The only way that Luminosity could have kind of countered this would be to rotate even faster to a different position. And that's always a gamble. So Neck is now in a 1v2. The money's kind of... He could go for this. I feel like if he gets a free opening, he's going to go for the 1v1. If he doesn't get a free opening, he'll probably save the M4 and the utility. But let's wait and see.
Try his best to pop flash in the smoke to try and support and block off Heaven as well. Gets him behind the pole at least. And the molly should force the pit player off. He's going to try to jump on the fuse to force Nifty into the open, but Nifty still gets the better out of the initial duel. And Envy do stay alive with that at 6-15. Very small step on the long road to recovery, but they have taken that first step. And now need 9 more rounds straight to trigger OT to keep them alive in this event. Yeah,
they got 5 rounds in a row on Dust 2. In this comeback situation. Now they need more than that to bring it back. Economy-wise, for Luminosity is looking okay. They have the double up setup still, missing some utility, yes, and Lucas is on Distant Eagle, but it's a decent buy going into this one. They're just saying, we want to close this out now. We don't want to have another eco to wait for that perfect buy. We know that what we can do. We know what we're capable of. And Lucas's Deagle might be a game changer here because he doesn't feel like there's too much invested into him, so he can go aggressive and find a very unusual angle. Just hold the pressure here down towards underground. Henny finds one, and now damage being done. 2 players down, and Luminosity now 3 kills away from winning the series 2-0.
He's got a good lock on positions here for NV2. Jerome has to force in from Monster here, and Polio is trying his best to support that from Construction. But Luminosity have now backed up. They're going to let Envy take these initial staging grounds at both Construction and Water. They just don't want to take any further risks. They've got a 5v3. A few players have taken damage on Luminosity's side, so let's just play it safe for now. Let's back up, play to the numbers advantage. They know Envy has to take the next step here, especially with the time getting to where it is now at 45 seconds.
What's the play here for Envy? Just hold your ground and then your timing push, but then this can happen. You're opening yourself up to these flanks. And Neck is, being a Luminosity player, he's going to push out and seek every single extra point of opportunity he can find. And now, on an off angle, he's going to be caught off time.
That's awkward.
By Drone. 2v4 still. Lots of work to do.
Drone, you can see, is so hesitant to move into this site, but they have to commit to it now. 15 seconds remaining. The plant's got to go in. They haven't even checked pit yet, so Steel could throw a big wrench in this. The plant going down. I don't think Steel heard it, but he's going to spam into it anyway. The bomb does go onto the ground, but it does not matter, ladies and gentlemen. Luminosity easily put down the offensive strike coming in from Envy, and with that, eliminate Envy from the event, keeping LG alive and pushing them forward in 2-0 fashion, taking control of both Dust 2 and this map, of course, on Overpass. For Envy, it's a discouraging start, unfortunately, but we'll have to see how they bounce back in the future.
We saw some glimmers of hope. I mean, we saw where the players individually can step up. We saw a couple of rounds where Cutler and Drone specifically played really well. We saw JDM with that 4K. We also saw Nifty with a couple of great plays. So we see the kind of potential of Envy, but we haven't really seen the realistic kind of setup where, okay, how far can they go? Because this has definitely not been the showing that they wanted, that's for sure.
And once again, though, for Envy, it's very early days for this team.
Anything can still happen.
Having formed as recently as they did, there's no reason for them to worry, just as of yet. The pressure's not really on for them. But it was just a good event for them to try things out of land, so we're going to see how they adjust in the future is basically the takeaway for me.
Yeah, we can adjust as well and throw it over to Trace and the guys on the desk.
Hey, thanks, guys. I'm going to go ahead and just say this right now. In no way, shape, or form should the pressure not be on any team to compete at any level. That's garbage. But anyway, let's carry on with this. That was not okay by Envy, and of course, they had a tough time here. What do we think it was?
I mean, I think it's just the same problems they've been having online leading into this event. Like, they don't get consistent performances from anybody on the team. I don't think that the roles make sense on this team. You have Nifty on your team. He's not opping or in-game leading. Obviously, we saw him with the second op on CT side on Overpass, but it's not his primary role because that's what JDM's doing. So I think those two coexisting on the team at the same time just is really difficult. I think it's putting Nifty in a really weird spot. And again, I just don't think they have like a star player they can rely on. Like, so in the first map, Cutler actually played really well. He was actually stepping up and doing some pretty good work. Second map, Nifty was actually actually doing pretty well in Overpass overall. But again, when you flip the maps, they weren't really showing up on the other end. So again, like I think it's just kind of a culmination of what Envy's really been dealing with ever since this team formed, which is just, you know, don't really seem to have the right pieces. Like you have too many of one thing and not enough of another.
And then those pieces aren't performing well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you look at the highlights, yeah, we saw some big rounds coming in from a couple of players on Dust 2 for Envy, like Cutler and Drone really were the shining stars.
Sure.
Some of the only reasons they were able to pick up some rounds. They were the only 2 players, I think, plus 20 kills. Then if you look at LG, multiple players, almost everyone. Henny was the only one, he had 19 kills, so he's just short. Everyone else had 20 plus
kills. And the top fragger had 23, so it's only a 4-kill spread from the top fragger and bottom fragger, and everyone's producing. And listen, on Overpass, everyone produced pretty well for Luminosity as well. I mean, Lucas is a little quiet, but still, I mean, all 5 of their players were playing really, really well. On Dust 2, they actually had a 15-6 lead. They had a lot of slight comeback, but I think that the score that people will see at the end of the day is a little bit deceptive. Like, Envy wasn't really in that game. They weren't really threatening Luminosity. They just kind of thought they left the gas pedal. Meanwhile, on Overpass, they just took care of business. 16-6. They didn't allow Envy any leeway back into the game. Definitely cleaned up nicely. I think the one thing to think about, though, is like, yeah, Luminosity beat Envy the best of 3. Congratulations. Like, we still need to see more from this team going forward because it definitely has been tough times for them coming into this tournament.
Well, the numbers are going to speak for themselves. Neck is finding himself a fantastic pistol round, and, well, that probably boistered that ADR just a little bit. Either way, I mean, moreover, we're going to get into an interview here with Steel. That's who we're going to have the pleasure to speak with. Of course, the man with the smiles to go around the world for miles. Mr. Steel, congratulations on surviving this far. You've got one more coming your way, but congratulations, my friend.
Oh, thank you very much, man. It was a tough match, as always.
Yeah, I mean, listen here, Steel. We know that times have been a little bit tough over there for Luminosity lately with some of the online pro leagues and kind of how things went at Chicago and even just after the Valencia success, things haven't really been the same. I know that you guys have been changing roles up a lot. Like, you seem to be playing a different role than you kind of were more known for in the history of CS. We've seen, like, Henny and Yell kind of bouncing back and forth who's primary opping. Even Lucas has been in new spots. It looks from the outside that there's, like, some panicking going on. Like, you're having to make these internal adjustments. Is there a sense of panic on the team because of how things have been going?
I mean, there's no sense of panic, but, yeah, we did great on Valencia, and we tried to do the same. So we were practicing. We were doing, like, everything we can. We practiced like even harder than like all of my previous teams. So because of that, we tried to switch roles and like switch everything to see what was going on. But still, like it's not like good enough. But it seems like we're getting better. We did good on the Chicago.
Now, coming into that series, Envy does not really play Overpass, like almost ever. Were you surprised that they allowed that map to sneak through in the vetoes?
Actually, we were a lot because we thought they would pick like Mirage or Cache, which has been like our worst maps, if I'm not mistaken. I know that Mirage is for sure, but I'm not sure about Cache, like looking at our stats. So when they like didn't ban Overpass, it has to be our pick because it's a map that we like to play and we have been practicing a lot.
So we know that Yell has kind of taken over the primary in-game leader position. That's kind of the other big role change that kind of taken place. And I know that's something that you were kind of formally doing. And I know that with Yell, it seems like you guys are playing a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more loose. Do you think that this is going to continue to be the case for Luminosity going forward? Or are you still kind of experimenting on what type of style you guys want to have?
Actually, I think it will be like Yell is going to be calling like... of course, for the rest of the tournament and for the next months, because when I was calling, I was trying to be like a lot structured, but I think that's our team, our players, like individually, they are not that type of player, and doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean that they are bad. It's just like the way you see Counter-Strike and the way you like to play. It has to be more loose with like the Twins and Neckers. They like to play more aggressive, and maybe because of that, it was not like working in the online season. And when we switched to Yell, to like this free and like this loose style, it's getting better.
Well, Lucas, I want to ask you a much more broad question about, dare I say, what's his first name?
Sorry.
Gotcha. Haha. No, I want to ask you a much more broad question at this point about what do you think of the Brazilian scene as a whole? I mean, we have championship caliber teams. What is your picture right now of the Brazilian scene?
Oh, it's getting a lot better because like last year or even a few months ago, people were not able to play Counter-Strike professionally in Brazil, but right now they have like gaming houses, good organizations like giving them salary and everything, because a few months ago people had to work, study and play like Counter-Strike until late night so they can practice like 3 hours a day. So I think that we're gonna have like a lot of good teams in the next year because of that, because now they can like play for a good amount of hours, even like living in Brazil, which was impossible. And we have a lot of good teams like playing North America, which are Brazilians.
Well, even in regards to the teams that are North America, I mean, you could look and talk about INTZ, we could talk about your friends over at MIBR. What would you say in terms of the top tier of the professional Brazilian scene?
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best like season or the best year for the Brazilian scene, talking internationally, talking about MIBR. But INTZ like did a great season, especially because it was their first season, and they have players that have never played like an international tournament before. So because of that, they are doing like super good, and I think they're gonna keep doing great.
Awesome. Well, I know you've got a big plate of food ahead of you today, another matchup, but we're going to let you go. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, guys.
Be seeing you later, Steel. Guys, anything we can take away from that one before we go ahead and head out of here?
I mean, I love the fact that they were surprised that Overpass snuck through. So it didn't just make us look stupid when Overpass was not banned, because it surprised even the team they were playing against, who's like, wow, they actually are going to let us play this map? Like, that's foolish. It was a huge mistake.
Yeah, I think it was cool to hear from Steel, always very transparent. I think it was cool to kind of hear his take on why they've been making all these adjustments and how he thought that, you know, I want to be a structure guy. That doesn't work for these players. We're trying a different approach. And I like that approach rather than just kind of being stubborn, running your head up against the wall and never making any progress. So hopefully we'll see how that plays out in their favor going forward.
They say only time will tell. Well, time keeps on going, and it stops for no man. In fact, we do have another matchup. It's going to be Fraxters and Vitality, everyone wanting to see how this French team can kind of come together here on this second day of the DreamHack Open Atlanta. But first, let me tell you about our friends over the Strafe Esports app. Strafe Esports app provides a broad esport experience on mobile, and it helps you to keep up with all games that are esports, to include everything going on here in Atlanta. So make sure you have it on your app, on your phone. Make sure you have that as you're roaming around your village, your town, wherever you find yourself, dare I say. I mean, people still live in villages, right? Yeah. Whatever. Anyway, we're going to go to break. We come back. We've got a matchup to be rivaled with the best of them. It's going to be a best of 3 in an elimination game between the Fraxters and Vitality. So make sure you're with us when we come back.